I'm just an average guy. There's nothing special about MJM. I'm an extreme hard worker. I'm very focused. I've got good concentration, and I know my principles and my values. I know the mission that I'm always on. That said, I believe I am the world's greatest street sweeper. That's even according to my 92-year young dad. So if he says it, it must be true or close to being true. So I'm not the world's greatest at anything else, but maybe, just maybe, I am the world's greatest street sweeper. True story to share with you this morning. I was working my first couple of months with my dad in the insurance business, and I would come to work. I was learning the business in the first year to see whether I wanted to actually eventually buy the family business and make it my next mission, my next career. So I was working shoulder to shoulder, eye to eye, belly to belly with my pop those first 12 months. But I would show up to work. I was living in this tiny 1-bedroom apartment. I was broke. I was driving a leased vehicle. And but the one thing I had is these $500 suits. So I would show up I had 2 suits and I had 5 ties and 5 dress shirts. So every week, every day of the week, I could wear something a little bit different. So nobody thought that I was wearing the same suits over and over again. So I would show up in this navy blue suit or this black suit. And I thought this was pretty great. Here I am, Mr. Business. I'm learning the insurance business. I'm about to get licensed. I'm working with my dad. Won't be long till I'm running this place and doing a better job. So one of the very first days I was working there, I was actually answering the phone at the front. So here I am sitting in a suit and tie, and basically I'm a glorified, unlicensed receptionist. Right to the point where my dad said, answer the phone and say hello, but don't you dare give anybody advice about insurance. He says, you don't know an insurance policy from a hockey puck. And it was true at the time. So he said, just smile and answer the phone until you have a license. So I was answering the phones. I was scanning paper. I was opening the mail. I was doing all these activities that a receptionist would do and learning the business from the front door to the back door. But one day my dad walks up, his office was at the front as well, and he walks up and he's got one of these large stable brooms. One of these, you know what a stable broom is? It's like, my dad used to have them when we were little kids living in the back of the general store. They're those heavy steel fiber brooms that somebody would use if they were sweeping a barn or a warehouse or a sidewalk. And they're heavy as lead, but they get the job done. So my dad walks up and he's in a suit and tie too, and he hands me, I get out from behind the counter and he says, here's your next tool. And I look at it and here he is. He's got this big heavy stable broom in his hand. I think he went and just bought it. He said, I want you to start sweeping the sidewalk every morning in front of the building. We're on one of the 2 main streets. And I want you today and once a week to do the alleyway in the back parking lot. And we have this large alleyway beside us. It's always full of broken glass and cigarette butts and litter. And the back parking lot, there's 12 parking spots for cars and trucks. He says, I want that all swept today. So I'm standing there in a suit and tie. I said, well, I'll get to that. I'll do that at 6:00 tonight after I go home and change. So he looks at me and he says, no. There won't be any get to it. He says, start now. So it's like 10:30 in the morning. And I'm like, you want me to sweep the sidewalk? You want me to sweep the alleyway? And you want me to sweep the back parking lot in a suit and dress shoes and a tie? And he's like, yes, that's exactly what I'd like you to do. And so I'm like, okay, like you want me to do it. I'll do anything this first year to learn the business. You say I do. So I literally go out and I sweep the sidewalk in front of the place. And I do the alleyway, which took quite a long time because it hadn't been done in a while. And then I did the back parking lot. All the vehicles were moved out of there, and I swept the whole thing. And all the other employees were loving this, right? Here's the owner's son. And, a lot of owners' kids would come in and start at the top and work their way down, as my dad would say. And it was the polar opposite for me. It was like, you're going to learn this business from the front door to the back door so that nobody can ever bullshit you. No employee can ever pull the wool over your eyes, and you know how to do everything in this business. That's absolutely critical, that you know this business from the ground floor up, the basement up. So I come back in, and my dad, of course, I said, I'm all done. And it only took me like maybe 45 minutes. So my dad's spider sense can tell, not horseshit job, right? Horseshit job. So my dad walks out in his suit and tie, and he inspects the sidewalk, and, he's shaking his head. He doesn't say anything. Then he goes in the alleyway, and, he shakes his head, he inspects it, and then he goes to the back parking lot. And then he turns to me and he says, the thing about not doing things to your best of your ability, the thing about not finding the time to do things properly, when are you going to find the time to do them over again? So I'll never forget that message as long as I live. If you can't find the time to do things properly the first time, when are you going to find the time to do them over? And I remember that because he said, this all needs to be done over again, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. The way you open the mail, the way you answer the phone, the way you sleep, the way you eat, the way you go to the gym, the way you talk to your wife, the way you interact with your children, the way you pray, the way you do everything as a man. The way you do one thing is how you do everything. The way you do one thing, especially the small things. Tony Robbins said it best. He said, if you sweat the small stuff, the big stuff will take care of itself. So I had to redo the sidewalk. It wasn't up to my dad's standards. I had to redo the alleyway, and I had to redo the parking lot. And this was a big belly laugh for all the employees, because they're like laughing now even harder, because they're like, look at this dumbass. He can't even sweep the sidewalks. So I do it all over again. And this time I do it the way I would have done it in the hockey business, where literally excellence was my goal. I knew how to work. I knew how to focus. I knew how to concentrate. I knew what excellent looks like. I just didn't want to do it in a suit and tie. So my dad set me straight. And you could eat off that sidewalk when I was done sweeping it. You could eat off that alleyway pavement when I was done sweeping. And the back parking lot was perfect. Absolutely perfect. And it all took me 2 more hours. So if I found the time to do it over. But I remember walking into my dad's office, because when I was doing it, I'm standing out on the main street. Some of my pals or my old buddies or my high school friends, whoever, would honk the horn. I had a couple people yell at me when I was out sweeping the street. And admittedly, it's probably pretty funny, because here's this guy who was in the hockey business, and now all of a sudden I'm in the insurance business, and I'm working for my dad, and here I am out in a suit and tie sweeping the street. This is only going back 15, 20 years, but shopkeepers and store owners and office owners, they stopped sweeping streets. They stopped caring about the front of their buildings. That now it was up to the town or the city to do it, right? My dad never had that mindset. He goes, every shopkeeper, every retail store owner, every office, every clinic, they need to sweep their sidewalk every morning, like when he was growing up. He'd be walking to school, and who's outside? The shopkeepers. And what are they doing? They're sweeping the street. First and foremost, taking care of the front of their building first. That first impression. Same thing, shoveling snow, picking up cigarette butts, picking up litter, making the first impression a lasting impression. So I come back in the agency and, I'm like I'm all sweaty and I'm all dusty and all this other stuff. And, people have been like mocking me and laughing, and I'm not used to that. And I said to my dad, I was in his office, and I said, I would have appreciated the work without the laughter, without the critics. And he said, you need to toughen up your skin. You need some alligator skin. He says, first of all, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, the opinions of the sheep. Do you think a lion ever is concerned about the opinions of the sheep? So you better toughen up. You better get some crocodile. You better get some alligator skin, because a lion never listens to the opinion of a sheep. So if you're going to have rabbit ears, you're going to be a lousy employee. If you're going to have rabbit ears, you're going to be a lousy business owner and leader. You need to focus on what works and not what the general public or the great unwashed arses are doing or not doing. And he said, I'll tell you another thing too. These people that are driving by honking the horns, these people that are laughing, these people that are making fun of you, they're not your fucking peers. They're not your peers. They're not taking over a multi-million-dollar insurance agency. They're not going to be making millions of dollars. They're not going to be organizing a sales force of 5 people. They're not going to be leading a team of 25 people. They're not going to have your life. They're not going to have your business. They're not going to have your mission. They're not going to have your focus and your discipline. So once again, lions don't listen to the opinions of bleeping sheep. So he said, get it in your head that these critics, these haters, these so-called high school friends of yours, they're not your peers. They're not your peers. And if you're really smart now that you're getting into business, he goes, it's time to curate, to swift sword, and to cut the rope with a lot of those tomato cans. A lot of those people don't fit in your world anymore. Get rid of the anchors. Get rid of the anchors in your life. The people that are anchors, that are pulling you down, the substances, the foods, the habits, whatever it is, get rid of the anchors in your life, because you need to level up to be able to take this business to where you want it to be. So ever since then, for 17 years, I would sweep the street in front of our agency. I never asked anybody else to do it. Some days it's the only thing I would do. I just pop in the office at 10:30. I grab some mail. I had delegated the day-to-day then. But I would go out with that stable broom or that shovel in the winter, and I would sweep the street. And then every week or every 2 weeks, I would do the alleyway on a Saturday and the parking lot on a Saturday when the office was closed and there was no cars. And I just always remember those words ringing in my ears. If you don't have time to do the job right the first time, when the hell are you going to have the time to do it over? And also, the way you do one thing is how you do everything. I saw a video a few years ago, the great retired Alabama head coach Nick Saban saying the same message to his players about a shoe shine guy that he walked by, and he said, whether you're sweeping the street or whether you're running a shop or whether you're whether you're shining shoes. He talked about this man who just took immense pride being the best that he could possibly be at shining shoes every day. And Saban said, whatever it is you do, big or small, have them put up a sign that said, here was the greatest street sweeper in history. Here is where the greatest shoe shine person shines shoes. Have them erect a sign. You do a job so well that you take so much pride in your work that literally they could put up a sign someday that said, here was the greatest blank that ever worked here. And again, that's the mindset. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. That's how my dad helped me become the world's greatest street sweeper, and how he pounded those words and that lesson into my mind. How we do one thing is how we do everything. And if you don't have the time to do it right the first time, where are you going to find the time to do it over? I've got a little book here. I want to show you my brand new, this is the 2026, heading into a brand new year, little black book of email secrets. Tip of the hat to my business partner, Mark Andre, for putting this together. This is 79 confessions of an email caveman extremist like me. I've been doing emails for 25, almost 30 years. Email is the honey that brings in the money. This book and what's contained in it is how I've been able to sell $153 million worth of products and services in the insurance business, the hockey business, the barbershop business, the coaching business, the consulting business. And we also raised a shit ton of money over the years using the emails for charities, for Rotary Club, for the food bank, for animal rescue, for youth sports, all with the honey that brings in the money. So that little book there, you can read that in 1 or 2 sittings, and you can start using it in your business as soon as tonight or tomorrow. It's all curated down for you. And it's short, it's sweet, it's simple, and you can start using any of these 79 secrets in your business to start, bringing the money that brings in the honey, or the honey that brings in the money, but using email in your business to communicate with your list or grow a list or grow whatever it is you're doing. And the link is below, and it's an ebook. It's a digital version. You'll get it right away. And let me know how any of these secrets that you're using, there's 79 in there, but just start using 1 or 2 heading into the new year. It's going to make a measurable difference in your business. As the great Matt Fury says, email is the 8th wonder of the marketing world. 8th wonder of the marketing world. And this will help you quickly and easily get it working in your business. Pick up a copy below at the link. 2 words that changed my life, 2 words that'll change yours. Be relentless.